Welcome to the Education Exchange. I am your host, Superintendent Jeremy Calles here at the Tolleson Union High School District. And our guest here today is our proud principal of the West Point High School Dragons. Brandi, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm the proud principal at West Point High School. The Dragon Nation is on the rise.
Now, there's a lot of things to be proud about over at West Point right now. I know you just celebrated not too long ago the Lunar New Year. It just finished up on the Year of the Dragon. A lot of great things happening for the Dragons. But let's start with that celebration on the Lunar New Year. Let's talk a little bit about one of the special programs we have at your campus, the Mandarin program. So tell people a little bit about that and where it's headed.
So we're super proud to have a Mandarin program on campus. It is not an automatic at high schools, regardless of the size of the school. A Mandarin program can be a challenge. And we have had a great experience. We brought Mandarin in second year the school was open, and very quickly it became a popular choice for our students. Because what we know is if they come in to us and learn languages so that they leave us with English, Spanish, and Mandarin, they can rule the world. They will have a lot of opportunities that come to them. So our Mandarin teachers have done a great job of letting what they do in the classroom spill out onto the campus so that even students that aren't able to, for whatever reason, take the class, they do get a touch of the culture. And so we'd done some Lunar New Years before, but this was definitely our biggest. And every day at lunch, there was an activity for students to do that was around the traditions of the Lunar New Year. We did a piece with the staff. We had entertainment on Friday. It was a great week for our students. What we know that also helps drum up the interest for Mandarin. We're really proud because it's a hard program to get. It's a hard one to keep. And we know it's something that parents look for when they're looking for a high school of what else do you have that will be beneficial to my student.
Well, you really capitalized on the Year of the Dragon because this past year was a big year for you. You are the first comprehensive high school in our district to earn the A, and you did it right in the Year of the Dragon. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how proud of you are of that achievement. What's everything that went involved? What's the secret sauce and how you made that happen?
Well, I wish I could tell you there's secret sauce. There is not. One of the things that we had early on as a goal for West Point is we wanted to come out of the gate fast. So we knew that as a new high school, it's hard to find your culture, find your place. What are you going to be known for? What are you doing? So with the Leadership Academy and the Mandarin program and a lot of things we were doing, we were headed towards successful academics, strong programming, so that when students leave us, they would be ready for college and career. And the process of the report card measures all those things. How are our students doing? How are they growing? How are they doing with proficiency? Do they have a future plan for themselves? Is it college, career? Is it military? What experiences have they had? Dual enrollment, AP, all kinds of things that get measured in there, including graduation rate and dropout rate. And if you're doing the things every day, it's a little bit like sports. If you do the fundamentals every day, the wins come. And I feel really strongly that that's probably what led us there, is we did the things all the way along. And then at the end, there was a great reward. We were really, really proud of our students and staff.
Well, you mentioned another one of your signature programs over there at West Point, the Leadership Academy. Go ahead and can you tell the audience a little bit more about that program?
Sure. In the design of the school, a couple of our schools in the district have ROTC, and there was definitely a hope that West Point might be able to land a program. But at the time we were getting ready to apply for ROTC membership or to be granted a program, it was a 3 to 4 year wait at that time. And we knew that we didn't want to wait to build a program that was going to be focused on students learning leadership skills along with some other pieces. So we went forward with designing the Leadership Academy, which is, sometimes I describe it as a university high curriculum, along with all the special sauce that you get in an ROTC program, leadership, community service, a tight-knit community, the support. So we were able to kind of push all of those things together. And right now I think we have about 400 students that are in the program at all grade levels. And students in that program, they take 4 advanced classes. So all of their content classes are advanced or AP. And then they are able to take the leadership elective where they work on all those pieces. They start with academic strengths and making sure students are going to be successful in all those advanced classes. But then they move to leadership, communication, being visible out on campus. They even got to go last year and do volunteer and be part of Luke Days. So it's a lot of great things that the kids can do in the program. And in some ways, it makes a big school feel just a little bit smaller for students because it is a little bit of a school within a school. But they are involved in everything out on campus, all the sports, all the electives. So it's kind of it's a great thing to be able to do. And because we have teachers that were ready from year one to come in and teach AP and pre-AP, we were ready to roll with year one with leadership.
So when you look at that leadership academy, what are some of your goals for how to grow that? Are you thinking about possibly adding an ROTC program? Are you going to turn into a leadership academy where you can have students who get that direct pipeline of going from West Point to the West Point? What's some of those future plans?
One of the things that we talked about was, do we want to even get back into the ROTC field? Do we want to, apply again to see? And truly, what we've created is something that's unique. And we know that there are some students and parents who make decisions based on certain things about a program. And for this to be an academic focused program with the supports and all the other personal growth program, we feel like actually for our students is probably the bigger draw for parents looking for really strong academic preparation, but also what else can you do to make sure that students are successful? And one of the ways that the Leadership Academy describes that to students and parents is that when they leave the Leadership Academy and they graduate, they're not just ready to get into college. They didn't just get in and get a scholarship. They're ready to be successful from day one. And I think that's kind of going to be our focus. We would love it to get bigger, but we know that it's not necessarily a program for everyone. And so we want to make sure that folks, when they sign up for the Leadership Academy, it's a big commitment of time. It's a big commitment academically, but the students that are involved really find it to be a place for them to grow. Once a month, they get together and do what they call First Fridays, where the whole team gets together. So that's all 400 students. And sometimes it's in the pack, sometimes it's in smaller breakout rooms, and they work on some other leadership development pieces, guest speakers coming in. Once a year, we have our very popular Model UN in the pack that the students participate in. So I think we're going to stay on that track with our students with leadership. We'd love to see it get bigger. The other piece we'd like to work on is getting our kids into more summer programs, because a lot of universities have on-the-ground programs for students, both in-state and out-of-state. And we know that that would be a nice piece to add so that students get a little bit of the taste of outside of high school and then come back maybe for their junior and senior year ready to make some big decisions about their college life.
Well, you're doing some great things on the academic side, clearly as reflected in your letter grade. Let's talk about the whole child. What's going on over in sports and extracurricular activities? What else is on the rise over there for the Dragons?
There's so many things that I will leave someone out. So this is the apology of I will for sure skip someone. But we have an amazing fine arts department. I have personally never worked with a team of fine arts teachers that have been able to move their students so quickly to very, very high levels of performance. Just recently, on a Friday night, we had our folklorico and mariachi groups perform a combined concert, and it was a packed house. It was great performance. It was high quality. But the best part is students and parents on how happy they were. I always know when it's a good performance and parents are happy when the phones come out, and the phones were out in full force. So we're getting ready to do a musical this spring. We've been doing that every year since we opened. We also have some programs in CTE. So we have an engineering program. We have a coding program. We have a law and public safety program. We just got a new piece of equipment and software so that students can kind of dabble in the 911 world and see what that looks like for those workplace standards. Our business programs are doing really well. I have to talk a little bit about athletics. It's hard to be a new school. It's hard to be a big new school because you're trying to build a program and figure out what that looks like, what's going to be our trademark. So this year, we are right now in the thick of basketball season. And I hope everybody's paying attention because the men's basketball program at West Point, they are having a phenomenal year. Coach Ryan Nelson and his team, you can just see it on the court. They're a little different, and you can kind of see when excellence is happening, it just looks a little bit different. And I think they're going to make a run at it this year. We got to add swimming this year with the opening of the Avondale City Aquatic Center, which we'd been waiting for another swim program. So that's great to get more kids involved. I can't even think of all the things. Archery, rocketry, we have esports. They just won their first match yesterday of the season. We have a chess group that goes out and competes a couple times a year, and we hosted the district chess championship. Our music program is amazing. Our choir, our band, there's a ton going on. We have, I think we have 275 students right now signed up for dance. Almost 10% of our student body is in some dance program, which we just think is phenomenal. But you don't always know when you open as a new school that that's going to be that popular. You kind of have to see what they're interested in. And then the other piece that we have that's definitely on the rise to watch is our unified sports. This was the first year as a district for us to compete. We already have the biggest group, and they've got their eyes on some really big competitions. They're ready to go out there and compete, not just in-house, but also out with other schools. They're kind of excited about that. So I know I forgot someone. I know I did. And our Stugo, they just got recognized as having a program of distinction. They've really grown into our culture leaders. Our JAG program, I got my fingers crossed because I think this is our year to be program of the year. They've been heading us that direction. So lots going on.
That is a lot going on. I think you may have covered everyone, but I guess I'll let
I've
you know
missed
later
someone.
if you
I've
miss
missed
someone.
Mhm.
But let's dive into one of those. So you mentioned unified sports. Not all parents and not all students are familiar with what is unified sports. I've been out to some of the events. They're phenomenal events to watch. But tell the audience a little bit more about what is unified sports and what you've been doing with unified sports.
So I don't know that I can talk the history as well as some other people might be able to in the state. In our district, this was our first year of being able to offer unified sports. It is an opportunity for students with special needs and gen ed students to work together and play sports together on teams. And so depending on the sport, it might be something where they're teamed up together, or they might be coaching each other, or it might be a team. But it's an amazing thing to see. It's a co-taught class where the students are just all there together. Right now, as a district, we're just competing against each other and doing district pieces, but we're getting ready to now, there is competition out there so that we can play against other schools. It's phenomenal to see our students and how they're growing in those relationships with each other and how they cheer each other on, how they support each other. It's a very cool thing to see because that's what the real world is. We all work together in lots of different ways. And so for our students to get exposed to that, we went quickly to 3 sections, 3 groups coming through, and I think it's going to get bigger than that. And then this year we also did a unified dance. And so the dancers in that class not only are part of the unified program, but they perform at the dance show and they brought the house down. They were so talented. They were having such a great time. And it's a very special moment for schools to watch student leaders come together and it's just joyous.
Oh, yes. I definitely echo that sentiment. I think you have never seen pure joy on a court or on a field until you've witnessed unified sports. Everybody out there is having such a great time. And I'll tell you, some of the teachers that have been involved, and I know some of your teachers have been involved with it as well, the adaptive technology that they bring out there to help ensure that all the students have a way to enjoy each of the sports is just amazing. It's an amazing program.
And it's fun because we can buy the products, but honestly, our teachers create most of those where they go, how else can we do this so that this student who has this particular need play this sport? And so I remember seeing it at badminton and this thing that one of the teachers had made, and I was like, that's phenomenal. That's exactly what that should look like to be inclusive. And they just saw what they needed and they made it, which is awesome.
Now, even though we've gotten to the end of the Year of the Dragon,
The Year of the Dragon never ends.
Okay. and Ting Ting and Wei expressed that to me. They go, it's not really over because even though we say we're going into the Year of the Snake, they let me know that it's not really the Year of the Snake. Now it's the Year of the Baby Dragon. So there's just seems to be a way to keep the Year of the Dragon going on. With that, what do you have planned next? I mean, you guys have achieved the A. What's the next accomplishment to go after? What are you setting your sights on?
Well, we know that our staff and our students and some of the things that they've been able to do so far so quickly with a new comprehensive high school, we feel like it's now time to start to look at how can we need to be competitive with all of our programs with the biggest schools across the state and the nation. Like, how can we continue to improve that? We're always looking for how can we provide new opportunities for students, new classes for students that they might have interest in, new clubs and organizations. I just had a student reach out yesterday. Ms. Haskins, how do I start a club? I'm like, we can do all kinds of things like that. So that's really what we're looking for. We want to also find a way to make sure that all of our students are engaged. There's so much research around students that are engaged in something other than just their classes outside. That's where they learn time management. That's when they get connected. That helps them with motivation. So we'd really love to see more of our students getting involved. This year is our first year of the 21st Century Grant. So we've added a lot of after-school programs with that, including, and I'll get this name wrong, it's our civic group that is coming up with a student-based budget process, I think is the name of the program. It's kind of hosted from ADE, where the students come up with, here's a project that we would like to see on campus. They literally research them, put them out to a vote to the students on campus, and whatever the winner is, then we implement. They don't have to fundraise for it. We pay for it out of our budget because we know that this is something that's important for students. So I kind of see the next step is how do we take all of our programs to the next level? And we see all kinds of promise about that.
That's amazing. Now, speaking of amazing, how amazing is that view out your window? For the parents that are out there, the students that are out there that have never walked onto the West Point campus, from your office, a nice big window, you can see the entire campus. Can you just describe for them how beautiful that campus is?
So my favorite part of the campus is the quad. So our whole campus is essentially built around a giant quad that is in the center. And my office and all of the administrator offices look right out onto that quad because that is the main hub of our students, whether that's between classes, at lunchtime, before and after school. So you always have your eyes on what's going on out on campus. You can always see kids. I can see kids right outside my window at lunchtime sometimes just cracking up. Somebody said something and you can tell they're having a great day together sitting out there eating lunch. But getting to look out that window, I'm not going to lie, I have the best view. And I get to look out at the Innovation Center, which is a beautiful building of its own. But the trees and the turf, it's just all, it creates an environment for students that feels like a place they want to be. And it's a place that they're growing into. When they were just freshmen 6 years ago, that first group of freshmen that came through, I'm not sure they knew how to navigate in that world. There was a lot of open space. And by now they own it. It looks like a college quad when they're out there.
So you are the original principal of the school. You've seen this school go from dirt to drawings to ribbon cuttings and now to achieving the A. Did you ever think all of that was going to happen so fast? Like, when does it really sink in the success of the school? Like, looking back at how that all played out, like how does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, it's the most transformational moment that you can have. It was one of the things as an administrator kind of on my bucket list that I had wanted to do because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of finding the right people with the right mindsets because opening a new school is different. And in our district, because we're a fast growing district, we do that. And it's not, so I had some mentors that I got to see go through that process. So I knew that it was going to be something really challenging, but also really amazing. I tell the staff all the time that when I look back on my top 10 things as an administrator sometime, putting together that team of whether it's the teachers, the support staff, the office staff, like bringing all of them together and now watching what they can do and what they've done with our students. I love that our students jumped in the way they did. We definitely had a challenge when we first opened. When you open a school with 1,100 students and there's no history, there's no, this is how it's always been done. So every day is a teaching day, and then COVID. So we were just starting to find that flow. And now we've got to send our students home and try to connect with them digitally in the same way we were connecting with them on campus. So in some ways, we felt like that was a little bit of a delay in some of the culture building because kids need to see their teachers in person to really feel connected, to go to chess club after school, to go hang out in the library and go get some books. So when we came back, that became our focus as we've got to like pedal to the metal on our culture so we can move. I don't know that I had a timeline in mind as to what I thought would happen and how fast the academic and other success would come. I've described it before as if you've ever watched swimming, the 50-meter swim, the race is over before they come up out of the water because all the work took place under the water. And when they come up, that's when they see where everybody else is. And so I always said I wanted West Point when we were a full 4-year school with graduation rate and all those other indicators that when we came up, people went, what? Wait, who? Where'd they come from? And I feel like that's kind of what happened.
Yes, and you and your team have done a phenomenal job taking this new school and turning it into an instant success despite all the challenges and obstacles that may have been in the way. So definitely appreciate that. And definitely appreciate you coming on the show here today to share a little bit about West Point for all those future dragons that are, still out there at their own layer and considering to come down to your layer. And we appreciate all of our listeners for tuning in once again to the Education Exchange, where we aim to enlighten our parents, empower our students, and we're looking forward to seeing you again next time.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, want more information, or would like to be a guest on the Education Exchange, please send us an email at podcast@tuhsd.org. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and tune in next week to the Education Exchange. You can catch all episodes on your favorite streaming devices or directly at www.tuhsd.org/podcast.